My name is Elena, and I am 31 years old. If you asked if I ever held grand ambitions, the answer is a resounding yes. I once dreamed of being a professional violinist, of standing under the spotlight and watching a theater go silent, waiting for the bow to strike the string. But life, as it often does, offered a different tempo. After university, I settled into a role as an archival researcher at a regional heritage firm in Savannah, Georgia. It wasn't the stage, but it was steady, and it kept the mounting weight of my student loans at bay. I met Julian at a museum gala. He was sharp-witted, possessed a laugh that felt like sunlight, and, most crucially, he spoke of my lost musical dreams with genuine reverence. He, too, had abandoned a passion, having left behind a promising career in landscape architecture to satisfy his father's relentless drive for him to climb the corporate ladder. We were married within a year. I left my job, convinced that dedicating myself to our home was the noble choice. Julian was rising through the ranks of a commercial real estate firm, and he told me I deserved the luxury of time. But the polish on our new life soon began to flake. Julian's younger half-sister, Clara, lived with his parents. The family narrative was set in stone. Clara had suffered a severe neurological episode after a childhood fever, leaving her confined to a wheelchair, unable to speak. I found it tragic, yet I was often struck by the intelligence in her eyes. While the rest of the family dismissed her, I found myself drawn to her. We developed a quiet, secret language of empathy. I would sit by her garden window, describing the colors of the sunset, and she would respond with intricate, knowing sketches that seemed to capture the very atmosphere of the room. My mother-in-law, Evelyn, was the architect of our domestic prison. She was a woman of rigid boundaries and cold, calculating observations. She viewed my existence through a lens of utility, constantly critiquing the way I folded linens or the specific shelf height of my spice rack. I felt less like a wife and more like an apprentice who was perpetually failing her examination. The fracture began in the months following our anniversary. Julian stopped lingering over his morning coffee. The spontaneous evening texts vanished, replaced by late-night client dinners and cold, distant silences. As he retreated, I leaned into my bond with Clara. She was my only sanctuary, her sketches becoming more vivid, almost warning me of the storm gathering on the horizon. The breaking point arrived on a humid spring morning. Julian informed me, with a rehearsed casualness, that the family was departing for a trip to the French Riviera. The sting wasn't just the exclusion, it was the condition. "We need you to stay behind and manage Clara," he said. "The logistics are too complex for her to travel, and you're the only one she trusts." Despite the boiling resentment, I acquiesced, desperate to avoid another of Evelyn's biting interrogations. The morning after they left, I entered Clara's room to bring her breakfast. I found the bed empty. Then, the impossible happened. Clara stepped out from the dressing room, moving with the fluid grace of a dancer. She spoke in a clear, steady voice. "Don't be frightened, Elena." I never lost the ability to walk or speak. It was a shroud I wore to survive Evelyn's cruelty. "I am an observer, and I have been watching everything." She pulled a suitcase from the shadows. "They aren't going to the Riviera for business. They are meeting with people who represent everything they've hidden from you. We are going to follow them." The journey to Nice was surreal. Clara had inherited a private trust from her biological father, a secret she had guarded for years. We tracked the reservation to a cliffside restaurant in Aix. Using a small recording device Clara had placed in Julian's luggage, we listened from a distance as they spoke of liquidating the marital assets and disposing of the dead weight once the divorce was finalized. When we confronted them at their table, the mask of their perfect life shattered. Julian's face turned ashen. Evelyn's poise evaporated as Clara stood before her, finally silent no longer, exposing every lie, every calculated deception. I didn't scream. I didn't plead. I simply looked at Julian, the man who had traded my devotion for social climbing, and realized I felt nothing but a profound, cleansing detachment. I filed for divorce the moment I returned to the States. The settlement was substantial, but the real prize was my autonomy. I moved to a studio in Charleston, surrounded by my old music scores. I am back to practicing, and for the first time in my life, the notes I play are entirely my own. Clara is thriving, finally living with the freedom she once only drew on paper. I learned the hardest lesson of all. When you stop trying to please people who view your life as a script they can rewrite, you finally start living your own story. True strength isn't about endurance. It's about knowing when the music must change.